Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Pursuing Horizons podcast. Today, we're speaking with Zac Spencer, who is crushing his steps and also a podcast at the same time. Very authentic, very Zac. But we're talking about
Stacking, baby.
authenticity.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're talking about authenticity and why being the real you is truly your superpower. So, first of all, thanks for coming on, Zac. And we're stoked to have this convo again with you. This is actually a
Absolutely.
repeat, but not on this pod.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is I've been on a couple pods. Well, one with both of you, but that was like the last episode of your last channel. And then one with just you, Bryce, like way back. That was like my first podcast I'd ever been on too. So it's pretty cool. And I appreciate that, yeah, you're bringing me back with a new channel. I must have done something right. So
It's because we knew this step thing was going to happen. It's just
yeah.
perfectly aligning my, like, for the visual component, any ADHD, I'm just like, oh yeah, we're good. Just
Yeah,
locked in
set.
on the left side, right side, and good to go, man.
Yeah,
Or this is just some kind of
perfect.
sick new filter that, like, makes it look like you're steps in, man. There's just a machine there moving your feet.
I was gonna say, like, have you seen those reels where it's like, yeah, the top half is like something's happening, the bottom half is like a video game, just
Yeah,
to keep people's
exactly.
attention? I'm like,
That's
is it
what's going
gotten
on right
that
now.
bad?
I think it
Yeah.
is, man. I think it is. I think it's gotten that bad, which is
He's
funny.
Maybe
like,
for like the 20-year-olds, 18, 20-year-olds, right, who just like
Yeah,
grew up with technology that perpetually on iPads. Like, I feel like I just snuck into that generation where it's like I didn't have a smartphone
yeah,
for the majority of my childhood. We went outside, we climbed trees, we
yeah, man.
played ding
Yeah.
dong ditch, stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's a
So
whole man. There's a whole nother like fun pod we could do on that where I would have some things to say for
oh,
sure. Especially like
yeah.
living in like a classic neighborhood over here, I see like who's playing and who's not playing outside, and I'm turning into that old guy now that's just like, okay, kids, like bring it in. I have something to tell you about
Yeah.
exercise. But it's tough trying to balance it all. Let's save us. Let's make a
Yeah.
little mental note that we need to talk
Yeah.
about these things. We could
Okay.
hit some fun buttons on that one. Um,
Absolutely.
right now, half of my screen is like the Space Invaders equivalent, and then the other side is like a painting. We're getting
yeah,
both
and I'm
parts of
on
my brain
Poker
are getting.
Stars too over here. Got live bets
Yeah,
going over here. Yeah. Um.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so
Let's go into it.
I
Yeah.
have something crazy kind of to say here before we like. I mean, now that we've said what the topic is going to be and teased our future topic, well, the first little kind of saying that came to my mind that like really has a lot of power, especially in our industry and the things we believe in, that maybe could cause some friction with the topic of this pod being your authenticity and showing yourself. And what about the saying "fake it till you make it"?
Hmm. That's interesting
Yeah,
because I see both sides of it. How much are you actually faking, and how much of it is actually like who you're trying to step into? It's like
yeah,
I understand if you have a certain vision for like who you know that you can be, and it requires you to push outside of your current comfort zone. Because we can go super deep with this, right? We can
oh
talk
yeah, this
about
is
like your
awesome.
personality. We can
Yeah,
talk about
yeah,
like everything that like our personalities are basically based off our perception of everything that's happened to us like in our lives so far. That's the controllable, I guess, part of our personality, right? I'm sure there's some like nature involved, genetics involved, that type of stuff. But if you're not happy with who you are now, I do think it is up to you to change it. And I
hmm,
think to a certain extent, for you to change it, I mean, you need to understand a little bit of like, hey, who do I want to become?
yeah,
Who, like, when have there been moments in my life where I've been like really proud of myself and I want more of that? I want more of that, like, energy that I've felt because you can tell when something feels real, but maybe you've only seen like a little flicker of it because you've been letting your fear kind of like hold you back because of like, again, previous judgments and who you tell yourself that you are. So there's that side of like, yeah, you have to push past those current comfort levels into extremities and like push into that tension. And it might feel like faking it because maybe you don't have that like undeniable like stack of proof that you are who you say you are yet. But then there's also those people that are like faking it where it's like, okay, I guess
you
the
can
split
tell.
off for me of like good versus bad is like, are you doing this to become better and be like a better member of society, someone that helps more people, someone that's more positive to like be around and like do it to like serve others and be like a better person, or are you doing this for personal gain
Yeah,
and like nefarious reasons, right?
and even just hearing that too, like like fake it till I think that's a great saying, and like it to me, we all like, and I know all of us have felt this. You can tell when you have an understanding of, let's say fake it till you make it, or like picture yourself in that vision over and over again until it becomes reality. like I believe that stuff. Like that is important to me, but I think we all have that true like discernment with yourself to know when it's not authentic. So me thinking, okay, I have a pretty good idea of what it should feel like to be a really successful coach and how I want my life to look. If that truly like aligns with, you know, my morals and values and my paradigm at that point, then it's easier to project. Where if I'm like, hey, like I'm gonna picture myself as like this club going baller kid, which I did for sure, like at a point in my life, there was always a piece of me that knew like, dude, like this just isn't your vibe, man. Like, and it's some people's vibes and that's sick, and there was a point I wish it was mine, but you can kind of tell at the end of the day. And I think that kind of segues nice into like leaning into your true self almost after making those mistakes, being what kind of is always, it's almost like the story of the alchemist. Like it's like you came back to that original thing and it was you, and it's you that is your brand, and nobody else is that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you try to be like somebody else, like we've said this before, but you'll only, at the very best, if you're so good at faking it, be the second best version of that person.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's where, again, if we're coming back to like that tone of authenticity, it's like you kind of have to pave your own way and figure out what feels good. Like there's intuition, there's like gut feeling, like there's that sixth sense that we can't really like fully describe, but you know is there and you felt it in like certain moments of your life. That's so important to listen to. Because again, if you're trying to like, especially for like young men that like maybe don't know who they are, like I could say around like 18, 19 years old, when I was done high school, it was like I only knew myself as a kid that like was going through grade school. And then all of a sudden grade school's not there. And it's like thrown into society. It's like you can be anything that you want to be, but it's like, what do I even want to be?
yeah,
I don't know. So I feel like maybe there are periods of times where you have to go and make mistakes and you have to try certain things to know, does this light me up or does this drain my energy? Is this good
yeah.
for me? Is this bad for me? Right?
I, a lot of older like cultures and societies too seem to have that kind of like, you know, whether it was send the kid out into the desert and, you know, get to the point of like starvation and like find their true self and find that, and then when you come back and sense that, then you can have a sure footing in what direction you want to go to. And that's seems to be something that like obviously yes, we want to cater to people's needs and stuff too, but there's an element of, if you know, like I had no idea really who I was, and I turned 18, and again thrown into society, had an idea of things I liked, that I was like, well, I really like doing this one thing, or I really like doing that, but I really had no idea of self. And I think kids have more access to that information now, and you can get on that path, but there's a lot more distractions that come with that. And I think that can really snowball into, I don't know what I want to do with my life, or nothing feels motivating, I can't get going in this direction because there's no purpose there. But to find that purpose, you have to take it back a step farther, and that's that ability to be able to like, that sixth sense, that in searching for the sixth sense, it's almost chasing your tail at the same time. But that knowing that we have, that's like, it's so hard to explain because it almost can't be explained in words. But that didn't, we all know what it feels like.
Absolutely. And I can go on a whole other tangent with that. Like I was having a conversation with a client right before this meeting. He's a business coaching client of mine, and he struggles majorly with like the woman in the red dress syndrome, you know, for taking from the Matrix. You know, it's like
Yeah,
you guys know that analogy. I'm sure I'm not going to explain it here to any of the viewers. If you don't know it, go watch Matrix. Good movies.
great movie.
But
Getting better every day that goes by, in fact.
yeah, absolutely. But there's going to be so many distractions. And that's where it's tough to know, like, okay, at a certain point, you trying out a bunch of different stuff, you're going to hit that point where you have to make a decision. If you want to be great at something, you have to go all in at something, right? And there's always going to be another woman in a red dress, a distraction, something that might seem easier, shiny objects, right? All around us. And I feel like, again, on the topic of like the online realm and like authenticity online, whatever, those distractions, like people get to a high level of whatever their thing is, right? Whether it's like coaching, fitness, real estate, trading, crypto, and then they show this like extremely like high level, regardless, I don't know if it's authentic or real or not, because people can fake results all the time. It's like, well, why not maybe believe that it is real, that people can do these great things? But then it's like, if you get started on something and all of a sudden you're like, damn, this is hard and this takes a long time, and you see somebody else crushing in some area, you're like, well, they make it look so easy. It's like, go to that thing. Then you
Hmm.
maybe try that thing for a little while. You're like, oh, damn, it's not working out for me. This is really hard. Then you see somebody else crushing it in another thing. You're like, okay, let's try that. And all of a sudden you're just
Hmm.
like ping ponging around, moving side to side, never actually like making progress up to your final destination or that mountain that like you're trying to conquer, which is your life in a sense, right?
Yeah. Like that makes the most sense of the way it's been described to me, as I think before what I just thought was like a silly symptom of ADHD of going for that next shiny thing. But it's kind of our society is made up for that right now to do that as easily as possible. But I've starting to lived enough years where I've noticed certain patterns happen, and that is the pattern I've seen is if you seriously commit to something and then that is becomes your existence and what your main thing you're trying to do and you're not going to bail at the times, it seems like 99% of the time it's going to work out without your unless you're self-sabotaging it. And I still don't see any examples of that not being the case unless you're hopping from thing to thing, which I've made a million mistakes. And again, like fail better, fail better than that until it figure it out. And it's in all the old books and it's always in there. But um that focus to do that is something also that is a lot harder to obtain in today's society with like so much information coming you all the time. But it also is a great like chance to overcorrect the other way now and get back into nature or anything that just kind of can ground you, because we're definitely heavy online presence and everything is go in that world right now in that full direction, you know.
And I mean, I think we talked about this before, but hey, new episode, so I'm gonna bring it up again. No matter what you do, and I'll try to tie this back into the topic of authenticity and like trying to figure out who you are and what like authenticity means to you. Anytime you make like you set a big goal or a big vision for yourself in your life, you are basically giving yourself permission to go on a journey. And no matter what that journey is, we can chalk it like up to going through the 5 stages of emotional change, right? Stage one, it's uninformed optimism. It's like, I don't know what it's going to take, but that looks awesome. And I'm probably going to crush it and everybody else is crushing it. So yeah, like let's do that thing. Then all of a sudden you realize stage two, it's like, oh wow, there's a lot of work involved in this. And this journey that I'm going on, the destination's actually a lot further away than I anticipated. And the path is hard and I'm tired. And you end up in informed because you're informed of what it's actually going to take, but pessimism because you're like, shit, like I haven't got the results. It's going to take a really long time. Then stage three is pit of despair. This is where it's just,
Mm.
it sucks. There's going to be, no matter what journey you're on, there's going to be a period of time where it's just going to be tough, whatever your goal might be, especially if it's a big goal. If there's not really a period of time where it's tough, then your goal's probably not that big, to be completely honest. It's probably in your comfort zone already. And I am going to push you to try to reach bigger because I think so few people actually recognize what their true potential is as like a human being put on this planet. Right? We're here to create, we're here to do big things, we're here to go on a journey and share that journey and experience with others to help others go on that journey too. That's my belief anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maximizing the enjoyment from point A to point B, life to death. But pit of despair, again, is where most people quit, where most people start to jump side to side. And that's where they're like, well, maybe this isn't it. Maybe someone else's, path is better. And that's where they tend to jump out. But again, the pit of despair is right before stage four, which is informed optimism. You start getting some wins. You start getting some whatever it is that you're looking for. You start getting the result of that thing, even if it's not all the way there yet. But you're like, there's proof that it's working. You're no longer faking it until you make it. You're actually feeling like this is actually becoming me, and I'm seeing a result, and I'm starting to make it. Right. And then stage five is like you've done the thing, you've hit the goal of the vision, the success and fulfillment associated with that, until again you decide to set a larger vision for yourself where you realize like, oh wait, I'm not even near my potential. I've done big things, but there's so much more that I can be doing, and that's exciting. And then you go on that journey again, and it's a lot of the same feelings all over again. Right? It's really interesting.
Do you find that a lot of people generally are kind of between like two and four?
Yeah, most people. And then the reason they get stuck there too is because then they tend to jump to like a new thing that puts them back to level one.
Mm-hmm.
They're always looking for like the next thing or the hack or the tip or the quick fix or whatever it might be. And then they do it and then they realize that's not it. So they jump to the next thing. We see this in fitness all the time too. People try a million different diets thinking it's the right thing, try a million different types of training programs, and they tried drugs or Ozempic or, those types of tools. And if it doesn't work out for them immediately, then again, shiny object,
I
next thing.
that especially in the fitness industry, like having spent some time in it now, I have never really left where I started, and anytime I've added something introduced a different kind of, or tried to learn something new or to add a different supplement, it never like took. And I'm still right where I started with like kind of creatine and protein being like
Yeah,
my main two things.
yeah,
After like, again, that's that journey of going out and finding out what worked for me. But it's funny that the original idea, that original vibe, was the most authentic one out of all of it. And that's after trying it all, you know. Um, I had a point I wanted to bring up, and I just hope it didn't slip my mind here. I have a
no worries.
beautiful outdoor setting in front of me right now that keeps taking my attention here. So online specifically. Oh, I remember now. Sorry. The lack of that goal or that direction idea, I think, is probably outside of socioeconomic stuff, the number one contributor to rises of depression and anxiety and all those things. It's with no purpose, it is a breeding ground for that. And that's again, all I can speak to is what I've seen in my own life. Not telling anybody how they are, but I think that is probably one of the most important things. And when you hit it, that goal, like there is always going to be that restful comfort zone, but there is going to be another level of despair that will start to show up had we not set another vision. Or it's never going to be that one solution that just solves it, that feeling, okay, now I've done this, I have peace of mind forever. So moving this into a different area now, with social media being what it is, where it started, where you know we were showing pictures of what we were eating and like just wild stuff, now going into, especially in our realm, a lot of what we could call, let's say, inauthentic ways to promote, to, you know, gain interest, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I can also say that that is bad in any way, or I think there's a negative side to it that you can control as a human, but I also know that it's a platform where like it does exist for the reason that you can show anything on there. So for that, I think that just goes back to your own discernment of being able to recognize those things. Just like they taught us with like advertisements in like in school, just like learning like, oh, sex will sell this and that. And I think it's the same thing of not being like you can tell the people on there that are like they're 100% ebbed into their thing, and it's like, wow, I don't think you can keep this up 24. But your little like personality you're putting on here as like a fun real estate agent, cool, man. Like it's definitely a different take than what I usually see on here. So that's that balance, right? It's just, and you can tell when it's not coming through. So I think, again, I'm glad they have the option to do it. But when it becomes your whole life, then it's going to be a bad, I think, toxic to the soul, truthfully.
Absolutely. Like we're humans are so multifaceted, right? Like obviously we're gonna have things that we choose to prioritize and go after in our lives, but we can go into the topic of like when is enough going to be enough? And is
Yeah.
there actually ever enough if you're always like outsourcing your joy, your happiness, whatever it is to that next outcome that you're looking for, to that making that $1 million, to, you know, having X amount of followers on social media, to having a certain physique. Like, of course we can. I think the enjoyment comes in the process. That's where we need
Yeah.
to like really lean into, right?
Yeah. And I think maybe it was Huberman that had said that one thing they're looking at now is instead of celebrating at like young kids being like, oh, you did it, like congratulations, more so celebrating the path it took to get there being way more beneficial down the road. Because then being like, oh, I'm not celebrated for my result. I'm celebrated for the hard work that I put into that result. And I know for me, when I look back at my life, that is something I'm like, oh, had that got to me sooner, that would have been definitely been. I mean, who knows how I would have received it as a kid, but um, it always seems to be like, here's my vision, but I need to understand that it's the process that's really going to be the defining, like the fruits of your labor. That's why all these sayings existed in the first place, you know?
Well, and then on the backside of that too, like if you're rewarding the hard work and you're reinforcing who you're becoming through that process, don't you think the end result is going to be that much better because of that? Because you're just focusing on the standards of what it's going to take to inevitably get to that end goal and that vision in the first place.
Yeah. Now, I know Bryce and I have talked about this before, and I'm going to bring it into you how I'm going to introduce something else here, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. Just being like the old guy that started to like see things in the world, you know? I'm only 39. That makes me sound like I'm so much older.
Okay, we're both in our
Anyway,
30s.
yeah, that exactly. Together in our 30s. Bryce, you're knocking on the door. But so let's look at tools like ChatGPT, um, and how that can
Ooh, I
skew
like this.
or not skew authenticity.
It's funny. We just had this
I
talk
like that.
in our in the business group.
Yeah.
Um,
So
who wants to go
you,
first?
I'm not gonna say anything. I want to hear what you guys have to say first here.
you just want to get on the topic of authenticity in ChatGPT? I love it, dude. That's a good
Just
one
how,
because,
yeah, exactly.
okay. So again, I try to look at things from so many different angles. It's just like the way my brain works. I don't think there's like ever a definitive right answer. It's like I look at pros and cons. I
Hmm.
make pros and cons lists for everything, and I just weigh out what has the most pro to like the least con, and just kind of like roll with that. Because there's going to be benefits to chat, and there's going to be disadvantages to chat. I think the wrong way that chat's being used is to make people like if you're lazy, if you're just using it to be lazy,
Hmm.
that's not what AI is for. It's to make you efficient, and it's to make you even better than your baseline of where you're at currently. So if you suck at that thing currently, then chat's only gonna like maybe make the suck a little bit less, right? It's like I want to be at least 80% of the way there, right? It's like when I hired for my business. If I'm delegating something in my business to somebody that I'm doing, the most that I can expect at the beginning, at least, is like I want them to get to 80% of the result of what I can do, right? But that's human to human. I got to train them up, teach them the things. If they do 80% and I get 100% of that time back, that's amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. Now with chat, I think about it like it can ramp up my efficiency and it can ramp up what's already being given to it. It's only as good of a tool as the person that's using the tool.
I agree.
Right? You could hand me some like crazy construction tools that are like worth millions of dollars and be like, you're gonna go build a house. And I'd be like, the fuck are you talking about? I don't know if
Yeah,
this
totally.
works.
Yeah.
Whatever I end up with is gonna look like a piece of shit. Like to be honest. And that's how I view chat too. I think AI is super important because it's not going anywhere. Like if you're like that person that's like ban AI, we're not going to use it. It's like, dude, at some point, like you're going to have to jump on the bandwagon and you're probably
Yeah.
going to regret not doing it earlier and learning how to use it as something beneficial and positive in your life. Because again, the people that are going to get really good at using it like properly, understand how
Yeah.
to use the tool, understand how to like amplify what's already there within inside them, they're going to put out way more content than you. They're going to be able to do way more stuff. It's going to be, they're going to crush it. And then you're going to be asking them later on, hey, bro, how'd you do that? Can you teach me how? Because I spent way too long being a victim and being like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Right. And then there's the people that, again, just think it'll do everything for them. So they don't need to get better. And that's also bad. So there's that kind of like in between middle part
The
where it's like,
middle
you still
way.
got to do the deep work. You got to do the deep work. You got to know who you are. You got to understand like what's the ROI that I'm looking for out of using this tool. And then figuring out the best way, the best strategy, the best structure, the best master prompts, the best whatever that you need to do to in order to like get the outcome that you're looking for
Yeah.
without losing who you are.
Exactly. That is where exactly where I've arrived at. Bryce, I want to hear your take on it too. I just want to say, just because it definitely caught me off guard. Just wasn't paying attention to it in my paradigm at all. Like back when like even GPT was first coming out, and I think now it's like just a source of inspiration and can level you up in areas that like to me it's no different than like okay, for instance, like it's really taking over the music industry and people are getting weird about it, but at the same time you can use it to like inspire in the same way that like a song would have inspired me to write a part, you know? So to me, again, it's knowing how to use the tool correctly. And then like if you're going to be lazy and it's your whole thing, you're going to feel unfulfilled doing that because there's none of that is you. None of your actual work is being put out there. You're just copy pasting. So it's that balance of both.
I just want
Bryce,
to put
my
it out
man.
there too, really quick, that I'm also, I tend to lean to being an optimist. So
Yeah,
keep
good.
that in mind when you're listening to my responses. I always try to look for the good in things, especially the things that I
Yeah.
can't change.
Why be
So
any other way?
bear in mind that
Yeah,
too.
good.
I mean, it? Okay. So when it first kind of started coming out, I guess I was kind of in denial with it. Like I'd say for sure with myself too. I kind of saw it as lazy. I saw it as cheating, and I kind of saw it as people just again not having to do anything and then just utilizing AI. But then I thought about it more, and it's actually kind of funny because I had to talk with a client about this too. I'm like, AI has been around forever. Like I looked it up with him, and I think Google's been around since like 1998, and like that is an AI search engine. Like you put in a keyword and it gives you top results. It's like, well, we've still had AI around us. It's fun, kind of ironic to me that people think this is like the first big introduction of AI, and I'm like, well, no, Siri's AI, like Google's AI. There's a ton of AI tools already out there, but like I think that's the expediency of things now, like how fast ChatGPT is and how much it can do for you at like on the scale, right? So I think for me, like especially working with Zach in the group, I've learned to use it as a tool and really up my volume on stuff. Like now I'm doing way more posts per week. I use it a lot for even like Rob and I've used it a lot for brainstorming ideas for this, even right, or for whatever we want to try to brainstorm for ideas. So I think it's a great creativity and productivity tool if you use it as such. But Rob kind of alluded to it, and same with Zach. It's like it's not going anywhere. So either you are a person where you fight against it and you're like, hey, well, I'm not going to use it at all, or you just become more familiar with it and learn how to add it into what you're currently doing and try to expedite that whole process. Because for me, like now I'm doing like probably 2 to 3 posts a day. So it's like, okay, well, how else would I be writing all of these captions all the time, right? Like you need some help with that creative flow, that process, proofreading stuff, getting even ideas and juices flowing. But if you could be focused more on creating the content, then I think it's a good tool to utilize. But I think it's only an issue for people that are finding it hard to be authentic online, is from what I've seen. If people are being authentic online already, they aren't as threatened by ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like a massive saturation too of the heavy, I think, AI reliant like content out there right now too. And all that is doing is like making the genuine ones stand out even more. So I think with every like cycle we've seen like this, and you could probably like I bet you it's the same kind of fear as when the TV came out. They're like, oh my God, people will be looking at this screen forever. And I mean like in my example, like I was an MTV kid and like it showed me so many cool things I wouldn't have found without that are massively important to me. And I bet you that same fear from a relative age group back then is no different than this is just our thing that we're seeing at this time. Like in our generation, we're seeing that though it's the rise of AI. Before it was like, oh my God, the internet. But like, yeah, like Google's been around forever. I never thought
Yeah.
twice. I was like, this is just helping me get to information that like it would have taken me longer to get to, and I don't believe that that is a bad thing. So again, like everything we always come back to is the middle way, which can be so frustrating to not have like that's that definitive 1-0 binary answer. It's like nope, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and that balance, and finding that balance like for me is a massive part of what makes me feel authentic. Man, have I gone kicking and screaming against those kind of ways sometimes. And it's everyone's to kind of figure out for themselves too, right? But it'd be interesting to see like even more 5 more years where we're at with it, because to me it's like it is just getting more intense and more intense and more intense. But I'm also paying a lot more attention to it than if I was in like my early 20s and like out there all the time. Very curious to see like how I would feel about it. Um, so circling back here, let's say I'm listening to the podcast. I have these ideas in my head. I want to be a successful coach. I want to create great content and market myself for who I am, but I also know like okay, like I am going to lose some authenticity by like I'm the kind of person that's going to have to ask chat for the organization of my social media schedule and some great like just great little like descriptions, that kind of stuff. What's the healthy balance of that, and how much then do we put of ourselves into what part of it is important for us to retain our creativity with? So like, okay, the filming and the content, and that's me acting, that's me coming through, and at the end of the day, you don't have to just say what chat is saying. Like, what's a healthy balance to you?
So it's a really good question. It's a really good question, Rob. There's a lot of directions that I can take this. So what I think is that AI still, it's only as good as the information that's given to it, right? Like all the
Mhm.
information that's been given so far, anything that can access on the internet, but it can't necessarily predict human behavior or like really understand what someone's going through. It can't really understand the human experience on a deep level. And if you want to be a coach, it's your job to understand your client on a human level, to know like the types of things that they're thinking about, the types of things that they're struggling with, the types of things that deep down, like they would struggle to maybe share even with other people.
Hmm.
And that's why I'm so keen on you helping people that are steps behind you that want the similar outcomes that you've accomplished in your life. Because I'm really big on like show, don't just tell, and becoming the person that like becoming a real leader. Like people are only
Hmm.
going to follow you if you are truly a leader. And the only way you can truly become a leader is by showing what's possible.
Mhm.
And again, so
Yeah.
if you're going to go in and you're like, well, I'm going to do this thing and help these people, but I have like no idea, I've never lived that experience, I feel like you're always going to be missing something.
Hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
having that baseline knowledge of like, if you're going to be a coach, can't like, there's coaches out there that are like, well, go on and put in your ideal client profile of who it is that you want to help and ask it to like give the top 100 problems. I've done that before, and none of those ideas really hit that much. They never really worked that well. It was always missing something. And the best ideas, the things that have really moved people and gotten people to like connect with me on a deeper level, come from my own story, my own lived experience. Storytelling is like the most important part. And chat, if you're getting chat to make up bullshit stories, people are going to know. They're going to be able to
Oh
tell.
yeah.
Maybe some strangers on the internet will believe it because some people are very gullible. But then all of a sudden you have to like live that lie and adopt those stories into your life. You need to live it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's what I think, anyways. That's rung true to me and all the coaches that I've worked with as well.
To
Can I
kind
answer your
of
question?
Oh my, yeah, dude, perfectly, man, perfectly.
Okay, good,
Yeah, absolutely.
good. Let's make it
to
sure.
continue this convo, because I know that Zach and I, like, obviously were he's like the head chief of the group. We'll call him the head chief. Um, yes, aye, Captain. So a lot of the coaches that we speak to on a frequent basis, I feel like the authenticity buzzword is a common thing that we talk about, right? And it's often it's a barrier for a lot of people. So how do you help people work through that? Like, because I feel I'm at a place now where I'm finally channeling that authenticity more through my content and, pardon my French, giving less of a fuck. You know, just again being more myself and having more fun and trying to be just more true to who I am. But like that took time, man. That took years and years and years of posting, right? So how did, even from your experience, was there ever a point in time where you had a huge block with being authentic, showing up genuine on social media? Even in like your business and everything too, because I know like this comes full circle, right? Obviously, we're just talking about media today and talking about ChatGPT, but man, like this affects like how you show up for like your partner, how you show up for your friends, how you show up as a business owner, how you show up online, man. Because like again, if you are very robotic and if you're literally reading off a ChatGPT script, people can tell. Like they can tell if you're like
Hmm.
not being authentic and if you're not being real. So
I'm
yeah,
like,
like how
bro's
do
not even
you
looking at the camera while he's talking to me right now.
yeah, yeah, he's like this, he's like reading off of his phone as he's doing it. So
Your
like yeah,
eyes are like, yeah.
how do you help coaches step into that, man? Like that person they want to become and maybe they're working to be.
Stop trying to be like other people. Copy paste versions of other people. Broaden your horizons. Like I think it does take time to figure out. Like if you really don't know who you are yet, it takes time to figure that out. And I do think it is good to like look around and be like, who are like amazingly inspirational people in my life where I see them do certain things and I'm like, that's the type of person that I want to be. Look to multiple. Like this is how I even developed my like training methodologies and ideologies and like got myself into like top 1% shape for natural bodybuilders within Canada. I looked at multiple coaches, multiple people in fitness, multiple people that were doing the thing, and I picked 1 to 2 of my favorite things about these people. And I was like, I'm going to put that into myself and I'm going to test it. And I'm going to see if it gets me the outcomes that I want, if I like it, and if it feels good. And if it does, then I adopt that as a part of like my ideology, my identity, my beliefs, whatever. Right. And then start building from there. And I think it comes back to, again, the lived experience. If you haven't yet done something big where other people are looking up to you and being like, how the fuck did you do that? It's going to be really hard to figure out what it is that you do best for people. And once you figure that out, like it becomes a lot easier to show up authentically in that way. Like how do I want to show up to the world? How do I want to show up for the people in my life? How do I want to have impact? And if you're like looking, again, the people that lack authenticity are usually the people that are looking at like one person on social media and they're like, I'm just going to try to be like that person.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's
an
like the
that's
toughest
an
thing. And
interesting
then
point. Yeah.
the other thing that I was thinking with that as well, it's like, are you, if we're talking about social media specifically, I think everyone to a certain point is like, there's moments in time in your life where you are the authentic, real version of you. And a lot of times that's when like either nobody's watching or you're with the people in your life that like you feel the absolute most comfortable with. And I think we all have, hopefully, at least a handful of people in your life that you can just be you. You don't worry about judgment. You don't worry about someone saying, well, that was kind of fucking weird you said that, right? You can just speak your mind and you know it's a safe place to speak your mind. And even if these people have a disagreement, it's like, it's not going to be the end of the world and they'll speak their piece and you can have like a little debate on it, whatever. Like, I think we should all have friends like that and people in our lives like that. Now, if I was to be a bug on the wall or like a spy camera on the wall watching these interactions and these conversations happen, and then I was to compare that to your social media presence, is there congruency? I think for a lot of people there isn't. So many people, you watch them on social media, you meet them in real life, and I'm like, who the fuck was that person? Like,
Totally.
this, like, who they are on social media, completely different. A lot of bodybuilders, dude, especially some of the
Yeah.
ones that are like really big account, do like some funny top of funnel stuff. Like, there's this one bodybuilder, he's like known for like doing the Kool-Aid Man thing, busting through the wall for like the protein powder, crazy stuff. Met him in real life, dude, it was so disappointing. Guy wouldn't even look me in the eye, wouldn't even try to conversate
Yeah.
with me whatsoever. I was like, all right, bro, like, cool. And I was super nice. I was like, man, love the videos, blah, blah, blah. It was one of my favorites. I'm following you for a while. You're just cool, bro.
So you ran into him organically and not at like something where he should have been in character. If it's a character, it was just a complete mismatch. Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
Totally different. I hear this all the time with people that, again, are like one way online, completely different in person. And that comes out eventually.
Oh yeah.
Eventually, right? They can only lead the lie for so long. Either that or they have to like get so good where they just adopt the lie and live it every single day of their lives. But like I look at that as just that's suffering, man.
That's your own hell. Yeah. That's your own self-created too.
Like we just
And
method acting every single day or what?
yeah, and like okay, and that's the other thing too. So like going back to like let's say this bodybuilder, like had they bet like if they're at a supplement store or something, they're gonna then, and a professional way to do this is like if that's gonna be your online presence and like I love wrestling like to my own demise, but like wrestling is perfect at this. Like that's your
Characters.
character. Like again, I thought the Undertaker was the most crazy thing, and I believed that as a kid. I thought he died and would come back, and I'm like, this is insane, man. How is he like allowed to be out here? But then you go and listen to interviews and he's just a dude. And like that to me is like a healthy performance of like, here's the mask that is my character. If I'm doing anything related to this profession that I've attached it to, that's the mask. And out of it, I'm going to be separate. And I think that's a very healthy balance. Like even the pros, when they're fully method acting, we've heard enough stories of it messing them up psychologically for life, right?
They can.
So, and like it's taking out some of the best too. But with our job and in the fitness realm here, you can't. I have adopted naturally, and maybe it was always in me, just to chat a lot and really like kind of be that rah hyper energy trainer. Now there are days when I don't have that, and the thought of not having it created more anxiety to the point where I thought I couldn't do the session or even be who I was supposed to be without having to be this like I always say animaniac character. And then I realized no, like even the times I act completely normal and not as high energy, like everybody accepts me just fine. But like you said, how good does it feel to have those people where we can be ourselves and to know that your authenticity, you being authentic can then do that for someone else and you can create that feeling in someone else that we're all kind of searching for and where we call home. That's a wonderful thing. And I think as a society, we're starved for that right now because we're just so far the other way. And again, everyone's journey on their own. Like I'm happy that everybody has a chance to create anything and there's so many tools and platforms for it, but it's less and less authentic. And just like anything, I'm sure it'll sway back and land somewhere in the middle, like where we should have been.
I think we can create energy too. So I
Abs-
think if you're thinking about like I'm all down for like turning yourself up to 11, but like your real self up to 11. The one that's excited, the one that's like stoked and like lit up and like you in those best moments. Like I do think we're going to have struggles, and it's important to share those too. But I do think it is like a skill that can be sharpened over time to figure out like how can I just like get myself going, right? Like for me in the morning, if like I wake up say a little bit late and I have like a meeting, a really important meeting that I need to bring my best self for, so what's my routine that I can really do quickly to like bring that energy up? Like I'll bust out some push-ups, do some breathing, cold shower, jumping jacks, have my cup of
Hmm.
coffee, whatever. Then I'm like, all right, I'm fired up and I'm good to go. And I think if you're going to play the character route, I mean, there's the two routes you can go. You just completely fabricate said character, which I think, again, wrestling, it's like everyone knows, except the kids,
Hmm.
to be fair, because we let them live
Yeah.
in, that bit of fantasy because it doesn't hurt them. There's nothing bad about it, right? It's like they're playing that character because it's fun, it's entertaining. It's meant to be entertaining. But if you're a coach selling a service, if you're creating a character to manipulate people to give you more money, that's where I draw the line,
I agree.
right? The only character I think you should be is like figuring out who you are when you're your most like best attractive self, the version of you that shows up and actually makes people like take notice. And they're like, wow, this person's cool. I can feel his energy. Like it lifts me up. Like sometimes you get around people with like really good energy. You can literally, even if you're low energy, you can feel your energy come up. So finding ways to like be able to do that, if that's the character, that's when I like full approval. Because then it's not really a character. It's just you, but just showing up in your highest state of energy.
I just thought of a great example of this. You guys watch The Office?
Of course, multiple
Dude,
times.
Date Mike. When
Date
he's,
Mike.
you know what I mean? Think of that. He's killing it being himself in a natural setting. And then as soon as he finds out that he's on a date, he goes into what he thinks is killing it and is fake mode. And obviously it's awful. And like,
Yeah.
I can kind of relate to it. Like I've been there. I've been in a very similar situation over and over, just not believing in my true self enough. And in retrospect, in any like after breakups, then hearing enough of the other thing being like, hey, the things that you're insecure about are actually what we love about you. So it's a cruel situation, but I just think that just explains it so perfectly because you can see that switch, right? He finds out and he's killing it. He's doing so good with everyone, just a natural setting. And then I know it happens later. One of the best things of being a new father here is that the office is our grounding show, so it's just on 24/7. So Julia's already heard it like 2 times through the season. Never had a chance. But I believe he's gonna go start Michael Scott Paper Company, and he is just managing so good on his last days at Dunder Mifflin. I can't believe I'm talking about this. And it's because it's his
I love it.
authentic self, right? So anytime we
Yeah.
can tie it back to The Office, I'll always take it. But it's just so funny to see it. And again, as humans, like we have that innate sense where we can pick up on what's real and what's not. And I can like there's a difference between obviously separating intuition from anxiety, but it's usually that initial feeling, if as long as it's not coming from a place of anxiety, is always what coming back to. Or like as soon as I get like an art idea or like an idea for some content, my first little thoughts on it usually is the right one. And if I question that, then I'll go into a whole world of, am I doing this to please people? Is this just a current trend? And at the end of the day, like there's nothing wrong with that, but I would say for sure is going to lead to unhappiness and not being fulfilled whatsoever.
Absolutely. Like even I'm struggling with this right now, not gonna lie. Like scripting out like my videos. I started working with a new videographer recently. So I'm putting money behind every single reel that we do together. So therefore there's this pressure that I made up in my own head, pressure for them to perform and for me to like nail the hook, nail the storytelling, nail the arc. But then I've been finding because of that, it loses that authentic feel. And I watch them back and I'm just like,
Yeah.
fuck, man. Like I
Yeah,
should have
man.
just like done it in one take. And that's one thing I'm really pushing myself. Is like, let's film the body and the story and the thing that I want to talk about first. And then yeah, like obviously the hook needs to like hit. It's great if it's proven. We'll film a few hooks at the end. We'll trial out a few, but as long as the most important part of it is just something that I want to like talk about. Again, if I'm not good at telling stories now, well, guess what? I do it often enough. I will get better. And I can read about how to tell better stories, structure stories, whatever, but I know I need to like fill it with like my own authentic truths because you can tell when someone's speaking from experience, speaking from passion versus like trying to recite lines in their head. And I'm not an actor. I mean, actors are really good at that. They can sell the character, they can recite the lines, and it seems super real. But I actually think that's like, again, that's a tough skill. It's like, what are you trying to also be an actor and a coach?
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
only be good. Like actors are literally actors. That's the one thing they do. They get like the lessons, like coaching, skilled up. That's all they do. And if you're trying to
Yeah.
be an entrepreneur or coach, it's like a solo entrepreneur. you have to wear so many hats already. Like just get rid of some of them that you don't need, and
Hmm.
just speak your truth, speak from the heart, and like there's always like you have to disassociate from like the how and the when of the result. Like build your roadmap, like reverse engineer your daily standards off of where you're trying to go 100%, but then release the how and the when a little bit. That takes some of the pressure off, and just ask yourself, if I need to do this for another 20 years, can I keep showing up this way? And does that excite me? Or does that make me feel like scratching my eyes out?
Yeah.
Funny because we just had that talk, like me and Zach had that talk about like me and my content too. Because like obviously like we've all chatted about it here, but I like overanalyze everything. And Nolan got me this cool pin where it says, "Hold on, let me overthink this." He's trying to like reframe my overthinking in a good way. But still like it comes up in ways where it's like I'll try to be analytical, but that analytical turns into very critical
Hmm.
and not critical in a good sense. And it's interesting. Like when you try to like go through your content and you're just like, this didn't land, or like you like write out this perfect script in your mind, right? Oh, this has the perfect flow. It has the perfect hook. It has this. It has a good like a good written hook and, and verbal hook, and it's gonna like land like crazy. It's gonna crush. And you put it out there, and you're like,
Oh, it. Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I
And you're
like.
like,
I.
oh, it
Oh,
didn't crush at all,
Yeah,
man.
god damn
What?
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I
and then the
think
ones where I make in 5 seconds, they crush. It's like, what,
that, like Jesse
dude?
said that. Like Jesse had mentioned, like it's like the one that I'll just like, oh, here's a sick idea and film it, and then that's the one that blows up, right? But that's coming from like whatever that source is, which again, like every mentor I've seen or like content I've read that has really resonated with me and like fit in my paradigm, it gets back to that like tap into that, whatever that is, source, God, energy, whatever you want to call it, the universe, um, inner anything like that is where everything great can be made. Now there are a million tools as well now to support that, and having the confidence is the other thing too, that it's not easy to be like, okay, this part of me that's made me kind of uncomfortable, now if I lean into that, like the fear of rejection comes in, and that, so like all that is everyone's journey to get. But I think even just chatting about it and knowing about it and having it in your awareness now, like you'll see examples of that. Like what makes you happy? Like there's not, like if I get dark, I can choose to get dark if I want to, right? And I can get all through like certain accounts I follow and I'm like, oh, that's not who you are, or like this is stupid. But it's like at some, I'm making that decision, and like what then is making me happy on there, it for me, do I get, like, my buddy owns a gym in Bali, and oh my god, he looks so good for mid 40s and jacked, and his life looks awesome. But I also know that's who he is, and half that content is then going to be like him surfing and stuff. And I know for me, that's what matters to me. I'm like, oh, this guy's more than just that. He's this too, and that's just, there's nothing wrong that anybody presents himself with just one thing. But it seems to matter to me to have multi levels, and I know anytime I don't do that, I then get unhappiness, or I feel that friction that I'm not aligned with where I'm supposed to be and how I'm acting, I guess. Um, so, but then yeah, getting that confidence, it's tough. It's tough.
I
I
like
think
that you
it
said
ties
the word
into the
aligned.
character diamond.
Sorry, go ahead, Bryce.
I was gonna say I think it just ties into the character diamond that you've referenced with me a lot too. It's like I think this whole authenticity topic ties into the character diamond. Like who, for I guess for reference sake, for people listening and watching too, the character diamond is referring to all of these little pieces that make you you, right? Like all of the little quirks and your strengths, your hobbies, your interests, the things that you excel at too, and trying to combine all of that. And it kind of forms you and shapes you as a person too. So I feel like that is a really good component to just this authenticity conversation too, because it's like, well, if we don't put enough emphasis on understanding our own character development, and probably that's probably when I first kind of came to the business coach who was Zach, like we had to like work on that quite a bit because I had to like get clarity on who I was and what I wanted to accomplish, what I wanted to do. But if you're in alignment with that, like if you're just showing up the same way as you feel that you are on your character diamond, then you almost can't not be authentic online, because like if you're just taking that and you're just putting it into content through top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel, and you're just trying to like be yourself on different levels, then there's no way people can see you as inauthentic because you're just being yourself.
Bryce, you just that was fire. Everything you just said now, pure fire. And I agree 100%. And I love the character diamond because I think, again, people need to be more aware of who they are because they forget how special they are. They forget how powerful they are. They forget what makes them unique, things that they don't even think about. But if you're to ask, like, they would ask their best friend or their partner or a parent to like list out some weird shit that I do that I just think is normal. It's like, do I actually show that stuff? Or am I filtering myself for social media? Am I softening the edges because I'm afraid of judgment? And if you put your character diamonds together and you're kind of like, wow, shit, I'm kind of boring. It's like, go have fun. Like life should be fun. Why do we shy away from like finding the fun and the play in as many of the things that we can do? Like so many
Yeah.
people will go so hard on like business and entrepreneurship. They'll ask them, be like, well, what did you do for recharge this week? Like, what do you mean? I was like, well, what do you like to do? And they're like, well, I don't know anymore. I actually don't know. And a lot of people struggle with this too because they'll build a business, they'll sell the business, they'll have millions of dollars on the other side. They wake up the next day without any like fires to put out, an empty inbox, whatever, tons of money in their bank account. But then they're like, what am I supposed to do? What do I like to do?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you're stuck in this like figuring that out, or they just like start to suffer and they end up like depressed because they don't go and do anything. They have nothing to progress towards. So like ask yourself, I like to look back at like, I talked to this with another coach this week, actually, kind of referencing some of my one-to-one calls right now, but I look back at like 7-year-old me. What would 7-year-old me think is just so awesome about current 30-year-old me? If I'm not honoring that 7-year-old me, like how can I honor them in a way that's actually like realistic? I'm sorry, bro. I'm not going to be an astronaut. It's not going to happen at this point, but I can go skateboard. I can go have fun. I can go do things. I can go, honor that version of me that would like look up to, me and be like, damn, dude, that's amazing. I can't wait to be you. I can't wait to be your age and be you. And then I look at also 70-year-old, 80-year-old me. I'm going to say 80-year-old because I'm still going to be probably working, crushing it, doing all kinds of cool stuff at 70, busting out backflips.
Hell
But
yeah.
80-year-old me, I want to honor 80-year-old me too. Of like, I lived a life where when I'm 80, I'm again also fired up that like, yeah, I did those things. Yeah, I took those risks. Yeah, I prioritized joy and excitement and being present and like having fun with other people and making the most of my experience. And if you can really like hone in on those things, and then you can go in and like reshape a little bit of like your current character diamond if you're not super happy with it. I'm going to say character diamond again. I'm just thinking about like, what's your mission? Why are you on this planet? What's your superpower? What are you really good at? What's your kryptonite? What do you struggle with? What are some like things that if you told people, they'd be like, no way you do that, right? Like when I tell people like, oh yeah, like I won all of these like bodybuilding world titles being like a complete stoner, like smoking weed from like morning till night, like just some of the habits were not good. And they'd be like, dude, no way. I thought you were like the epitome of health. I was like, dude, I have my kryptonites. Lots of other things. We can get, the list goes on, right? And then my quirks and my passions and all those types of things make me up. So again, if you feel like you're missing things, like ask yourself the 7 versus 70-year-old question. Be like, okay, how can I change? How can I make things better? Because do you want to continue down the same route? Or is there ways that you can be living your life a little bit more full and fulfilling? Because if you're doing that, then again, coming back to content writes itself at that point. And you just can share the cool stuff that you're doing because you're going to be excited to share it. It's going to be interesting. I think everyone, when they go on vacation, social media accounts where I haven't seen them post in a year, all of a sudden they're on vacation, boom, posts every day.
Yeah.
Because they're doing something fun for themselves that they actually enjoy for once, and then they can't wait to share it with the world and scream from the rooftops that this is amazing. I want to share this with other people.
Scene. Perfect. That was
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
I think
that
it's
was
a good
great.
place to wrap it up, man. I don't even know what else to add to that.
Great conclusion.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys. That was a great conversation.
man.
I honestly love coming on here. I love chatting with you guys.
Yeah.
We're very like-minded. I'm certain there's people watching this podcast. There's going to be more people finding this podcast that feel that way too. These guys are legit. Hit that follow button. They're awesome. Seriously.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, no, there's one thing too that if I could share from like, I actually made a post about this like earlier this week too, about like why I'm doing my race, right? And I think that was me trying to tap into my authenticity some more too. And it's something that even I battle with, and I'm 1,200 and almost 60 posts into this, right? But one really freeing thing for anybody out there that has some like real bad hesitation with posting is you can easily block someone. So like just remember that it is a virtual world. So as much trash as somebody could talk about your stuff, if you get to a point where it's actually giving you fear and it's holding you back, you could very easily block someone. But
Can I add something to that? Oh,
but
sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought, and I'm gonna add something.
I was gonna say if they are giving you hate, that means that you're doing something right. Now Zach can go.
Hell yeah.
I was also gonna say you're the one who gives meaning to those words. You don't know the meaning and the feeling that they put behind it. You're looking at letters on a screen. It's only your brain that sticks meaning to those things. Dude, life's so weird. We're making noises out of our faces,
Yeah.
and we just put meaning to it and understanding to it.
And we're just
Make
like, yeah, man,
whatever,
that's normal.
like make whatever noise you want to me. It doesn't matter, bro. Unless I decide it matters, it does not matter to me. And if you can master that, dude, like life gets fun. But sometimes I think weird like that. Maybe it was some of the psychedelics I did at a young age, but just like some of the weird stuff we do. Get out and get really weird. Just the fact that I'm here moving my limbs and I got control over these
I
things
know.
right now, it's like that's weird.
Or like, this needs to be saved. If we're talking about like the importance of a psychedelic journey to find out your true self, let's say that. That'll be a sweet convo, boys.
I've had my fair share of experiences. I'd be more than happy to share some crazy stories.
Oh, I would love
One time, I literally thought I teleported, bro. Like the experience I
Yeah,
had with
you probably did,
teleportation.
man.
Oh no, people watched what happened and they told me what happened after. Like, no, dude, you did not. Like, I was like, I swear I did. I swear I did.
Prove
I did
it.
not.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay.
There's one
we
last
have-
thing I want to say as
yeah.
well before we wrap up too. Whether we talked briefly on the character diamond, if there's anyone that's like sitting here watching and being like, what the hell is a character diamond? I have a full masterclass. Like, it's called Social Posting Strategy. It goes super in depth in the character diamond. If you're watching this, it's for my paid clients, but I'd be more than happy to share it with you. Come to my Instagram. They'll tag me. It'll be at Zac_Spencer. Just DM me the word diamond, and I will give it to you, and I will show you the training. It's amazing.
Rad.
And we lost Rob.
I think we lost Rob. But
Yeah.
we will wrap it up there. Thank you guys for coming on today, and crush it as usual, Zach.
See you, Bryce. Thank you.